There is power behind every story we carry within. Every tragedy, no, yes, laugh, victory. And every testimony that is incubated within our souls have power. The power to transform, from tragedy to crown, from obstacle to opportunity. And all the moments in between make us wiser. Watch Candid Conversations with Charisa for impactful, unheard moments that will certainly spark your power and inner truth to shift, heal, and restore your life. It's time to get real, uncover, unlock, unpack, set free, and increase the dialogue to change a life. We all start somewhere and end in places of destiny. Get ready for the long-awaited Candid Conversations with Charisa.
We are back. Candid Conversations with Charisa, Season 5, the anniversary celebratory season, and I am excited. Your host, Charisa Monroe Wilborn, and I am so happy to bring to you a season where we have conversations on leadership and change, leadership and me, leadership having no age limit. It is all about leadership. Why? Because it's all about you. I'm all about making sure that you are taking care of you in order for you to take care of others. Why? Because our purpose is so much bigger than us. In this season, we're going to have so many special guests, and I'm so excited to bring to you not only knowledge from myself and my experience, but knowledge from other great leaders so that we can help you change your life. Stay tuned for powerful episodes coming up right now. Welcome back to part 2 of Leadership and Relationships with our beautiful guests, Colin and Renee Morgan. If you missed part 1, stop right now, go and see part 1 first, and then come back and catch this next powerful, life-changing episode. Colin and Renee, thank you so much for still being here with us as we talk about leadership and relationships.
Yes, it's our pleasure to continue the conversation.
Absolutely, and it's been candid too. Mm-hmm. So last part 1, we talked about relationships and leadership as far as it pertains to marriage, mm-hmm. and that level of intimacy. Mm-hmm. But then there are the relationships that are outside of marriage, outside of the home, mm-hmm. family, that leadership affects. Yeah. Sometimes not the best. For whatever reason, whether there's usually that struggle in power, mm-hmm. whether there are the insecurities mm-hmm. that take over in any particular individual, usually also when we grow as leaders.
Mm-hmm. Things change.
Things do change. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So leadership is about relationship mastery. Mm-hmm. And that's an ongoing lesson. And I'm saying this because I know it. I'm in it now. Mm-hmm. I'm in the journey where my leadership is growing, and I'm growing and expanding. And there are certain, I'm in and out of relationships, but that's what leadership is about. Mm-hmm. Colin says it again, leadership is about peopling. I love the word peopling. And for as long as you are peopling, you are in and out of relationships. Yeah. Short term, long term, for a season, out of season. Yeah. So I know for the two of you, Colin, you've been pastor of a church. Mm-hmm. You have your own nonprofit called Good Life.
Good Life Network.
And so you have relationships, especially with young people, mm-hmm. but you've also had relationships where, and I only know this because you and I have talked candidly, mm-hmm. where your leadership was challenged, your leadership was contained mm-hmm. in a box, mm-hmm. in a cave. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to talk a little bit about that. And then also how that, I would like to hear your, Renee, your perspective as the wife mm-hmm. supporting him and how that could affect your relationship with him, and then also your relationship with these other external people. Yeah.
Well, let me just start by saying, again, thanks again for having us. But influence is the ability to affect and move someone's position, their posture, and their perspective. Position means their location or their direction, right? Their posture is how they look, their image, and how they position themselves posture-wise. And of course, perspective is their mindset. So the aim of a leader, the currency is people, and the aim is to have influence people. And even within your quest or your journey, your path to be a leader, I like to view it as, you have circles of influence. So you have my, and if you look at the Good Life logo, which they will put somewhere on here, no, they'll edit it and put it somewhere, but it will show you there's a red dot right in the middle, and that is my me, right? As a leader, how is that red dot? The red is you, the red is me. I have to be able to first influence myself, and then we go into concentric circles. Then I have me and my wife, my boo, your husband, you and your husband. And then the my circles, boo. Yes, your boo.
He was here somewhere.
Right, he's here, but he's not. But then it goes out, and as the circles get bigger, you have your family, then your people that work with you, and so forth. You still have to be able to have influence, and it takes you take a different posture perhaps in the different rooms, okay? And it's very important as a leader to come to terms and understand, first of all, what the red looks like. The red is you, and then me and my wifey. And we spoke about that in the last episode, and then it gets bigger. It's very important to understand and be aware of that, because as you said, shifts and changes, and as you grow and develop as a leader, there's gonna be things that shift and change. And she'll be able to explain as a wife and how that has affected her. But as a leader and having influence, one of the things that God challenged me, and I shared this with you off camera, is that none of my relationships are for me. And that was hard for me. I remember they're clapping and they're applauding, but it was really tough. And I understood what God was saying, but I didn't know he really literally meant that. Like, none of my relationships are for me. And what he was saying is, don't go into it expecting that reciprocity, right? Do it for the need and not necessarily the name. Because what happens in leadership...
Wait, say that again.
You do it for the need.
Do it for the need.
Their need.
For the name.
Right. So, if I see a problem, then I'm the solution to that. So I do it for the need and not the name. Or not the numbers,
not the recognition,
right? Not for the recognition. Don't go into it expecting the reciprocity, so that when you don't get it one day, you won't be hurt. And I remember when I was turning 30, which was just the other day.
Last week.
Yeah, just last week. No, but when I was turning 30, God spoke to me, and I challenged God, and he hit me right back with that. I was getting hurt as a leader, and these relationships, whether they were up relationships, across relationships, even down relationships. I kept getting hurt. Every now and again I get hurt, and that's because I didn't separate, and I was kind of expecting the reciprocity. So he allowed me to shift my perspective. And I'm not saying that you have to do that. All you leaders out there, I'm just advising you, get to the point where you kind of come to terms with that and you understand, I'm here for you, and God told me, do not deprive them of the gift, the talent that I've given you, which you've then turned into a gift. And so, because that need, when the need ends a lot of times, Charisa, the people leave.
Yeah,
they do.
And even no matter how much them love you, leaders, have you ever been in a relationship and these are people that would swear for you, they swear blind, they will never leave nor forsake you, they're here forever. They're really here for the need. Sometimes when the need is satisfied, then, and I don't necessarily take it personally anymore, I understand. But
and that's okay.
That is okay.
When you've solved the problem and you've healed the wound.
Yeah. If that is your measuring stick, you have to then just say, okay, well, job well done.
Exactly.
Kind of hurt a little bit, but job well done.
I would say as his wife, and as he's gone through different seasons and relationships within different seasons or within opportunities that come about, I have had to really develop a broad, strong back.
Broad back.
Because I'm not only dealing with his pain, I'm dealing with my pain. And I have to nurse my pain while helping him to come back to himself. And what I am for him in the times that he is feeling down or feels judged, misrepresented, all of that, I have to stand up in front of him and be a mirror. And I always have to remind him, this is who you are. This is what you're called to do. I believe in you. So, these words of affirmation are very important. And you're not speaking loose words. You are just affirming who this person is in a moment of weakness. I mean, we all have moments of weakness, right? We don't like to use the word weak, but we have these moments. And I am there to, one, remind him of who he is and help him to get back to that original place of strength and feeling that, okay, let's move on, let's move beyond this.
But I think even that is an excellent quality of a leadership, of a leader.
Yeah.
Not all leaders will look at somebody's weak moment and say, let me help you. A lot of leaders are going to look at somebody's weak moment as their stepping stool.
That's it.
That's
all.
To get up. Okay, good. He's down there. Boom. Let me see if I can now get to the level I've been trying to get to because you've been up here all the time.
Yeah.
But it takes, and I'm talking outside of marriage. I'm talking about just, you know, in the workplace, or you're in your common sphere with other leaders, and you see someone not doing so well than they were before.
Yeah.
Do you take the time as another leader to help out another leader and say,
Yeah.
how can I help you? What can we do? What do you need?
Yeah.
Or do you say, good, while she's in the spotlight or while he's in the spotlight,
Right.
now it's my turn
Right.
to get my name known?
Yeah, I mean, intent behind your actions is such a big deal because you know, as you said earlier, we're constantly evolving, and because we're evolving, things around us change. As you continue to grow, you take on some things and you have to shed certain things, right? We shed our baby teeth so that we can get our big chompers and eat big people food, right? But when you look at the intent behind, or the intent of a person's actions or thoughts and so on, you know, you have to just ensure that you're coming back to base. I mentioned that word, coming back to base, or that phrase, coming back to base, because I always have to come back to originally who we are, what our intent is, and knowing, you know, when you're misrepresented and judged, it's an opportunity for you to constantly, it's an opportunity for you to look at yourself and remind yourself of who you are.
Right.
You know, and it's an opportunity for me to affirm him in a deep way of who he is and remind him of who he is.
Because the word that we left off in part one was identity.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually our intent comes from what and who do we identify with, or who do we identify as.
Yes.
And a lot of us take on identities that are not the identity we were born with.
Yeah.
Right.
And we struggle with the insecurities that are insecurities because there's this battle between who they say I am, who I believe I am, that doesn't equate to who God says I am.
Exactly.
And so in leadership, you have this battle between identities, my identity versus your identity, and then my incorrect identity versus your so-called incorrect identity as well. And then there's this clash.
Yeah.
I think about the pandemic that we are slowly coming out of, and the amount of change that has brought.
Yes.
The amount, and not all good change,
Right.
some good, some bad, but the level of shift that everyone, whether you wanted to take or not, like you have to. And that's why I am so focused on this in this season, because that shift has shifted all leaders.
Yeah.
Seasoned,
Absolutely.
emerging, those that don't even think they are, but they are. Like it has shifted us even if we didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I want to bring us to a place where we can now control the shifts. You now realize that, you know what, so much has shifted. I have to shift my mind. I have to shift my habits. I have to shift my investments. I have to shift my trust. Who am I trusting in? Who am I going to trust? And I have to shift my faith and my freedom. And then once you start to do those major shifts, then you can have shifts in your leadership, because that's going to change.
Yeah.
Your purpose is going to shift. It's still very much there, but there's a shifting. There's a shifting in your power, and there's a shifting in your relationships.
Yeah.
And when you don't, when we are unable to shift with the shift,
Well, yeah.
we end up in a situationship, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
say that again. Let me say that again.
Well, that's great. I think, you know, one of the things that I just keep coming back to is leadership is great. Okay, navigating through the relationships in as a leader is great. And when you pray for the blessing and you want to, Lord, help me as a leader to grow and continue to grow and to mature. And with that maturity come different shoe size, shirt size. With that growth comes a shift and a change that you're talking about. And I remember a man of God said to me one day, he said, "How's everything going, Colin?" And I said, "Everything is great. I'm growing and I really love where I'm at." And he said, I heard a story about a giant that lived in a cave.
Oh, I love this.
Right? I said, "A giant that lived in a cave." Yeah,
And that's all he said.
Go on. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm done." And I thought about it and I said, wow. And it caused me, it really allowed me to get to a point where I had to make a shift and a change because of my growth. And you alluded to the cave before, or the box, and really what that cave was doing, and caves are good, because for a while it gives you those walls of protection, right? And provision, it gives you a ceiling to help cover you, right? It also gives you a floor. And what happened to us is that, that I was in a cave growing, and as a giant in a cave, the cave don't grow with you, right?
Exactly.
So it started to get more uncomfortable, and the relationships with other people who are in the cave, as a giant, I'm growing, right? And understanding, and listen, you're going to have to address this in your episodes. But how do leaders deal with the fact that they are becoming a champion? They are becoming a monster. There's nothing wrong with being a monster if you can harness it. That's actually safer and better to be a monster that once you can harness
that has complete self-control.
That is complete and that is power, right? And so as a giant in a cave, for all you leaders that are growing and you find yourself uncomfortable after a while, and the people around you do not understand you. They don't understand the growth. They don't understand the why. And the how you're doing it.
That you receive.
That's because you're in the same cave as them and you're just a giant and you're stepping on their toes and you're nudging them and so it affects your relationships. And we can't get into all of that now, but addressing those of us leaders who are actually champions or monsters, we're growing in a good way. You understand what I mean? Because that is my prayer, to continue to increase my influence, to increase my capacity, which means I'm getting bigger.
I think about, and in closing, as Colin is talking about the giant and the monster in the cave, I think about the superhero movies or those fantasy movies where these people have these powers, and you think about them when they were young, and how they had to learn to not use their power, not use their talent, their gift, because they didn't know how to, because it would ill affect the people around them, or it could injure them. And so their parents, their guardians would almost shelter them, hide them, put them in a cave. But then there came a point where that shelter, that house, that cave, that box was no longer safe, but was also no longer able to harness. But during that time, they were learning how to control it. Like I think about Superman, I think about the Hulk, I think about Frozen,
X-Men
with Elsa and
Anna.
Yes, where for a long time she struggled because she didn't know how to control her gift, but her parents knew. And then when she finally learned, after some time, then it became the greatest gift of all. And that's how I think about, we are all superheroes. We are all, if you want to use the word monster, in the way where as long as we can control, we have the self-control, the self-discipline to use our gifts, use our talents, use our purpose, use our leadership to influence and not manipulate, to impact and not impose. We are good. We are good. Good. This was amazing. So I'm going to ask you both to please speak to our viewers directly. Give them 30, 60 seconds of the greatest advice you can give that'll change their life today.
You do 10, 20? You want to do 10 and I do 20?
You can do 30. Go.
You want to do 30? Well, I was going to ask Charisa if I could say one more thing, and I'll just say it to you. It's very important that you understand and be able to define your ships. What do I mean? There are different types of ships, and one of the things as a real, true, seasoned leader we have to be careful of is that we keep allowing all these ships to become friendships. How many friends do you really have, and why? What you know, I have, as I grew a little more seasoned, I have determined that I'm not going to allow, because some of these people that we allow in our world to become friends, and we call these friendships, really they could have been mentorship. Have you ever felt like your relationships are balanced, you're outgrowing certain people, y'all talk about different things after a while because they should have been a mentee or you should have been their mentor? There's fellowship, friendship, mentorship. Make sure you can define your ships. It's important as a leader that you understand who you are, how you are, why you are, so that you can relate to people.
Absolutely. Make sure you can define your ships. That's amazing. Yeah. Colin, final words. Renee, let our viewers know where they can find and follow you both.
Well, we're on IamGoodLife.com. That is the easiest place. Of course, I Am Good Life is also our Instagram handle.
Yep.
And we have an app, our own community, our own online community. Yes. And you can find that on your if you have Android or your Apple Store.
The Good Life Network.
The Good Life Network. Join our online community. We are a global community, a global network that builds platforms and creates opportunities for emerging leaders, seasoned leaders, to become key influencers within their world and beyond.
Absolutely. Oh, this was awesome.
It was great.
Colin, thank you so much. Renee,
thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. The conversation can continue on and on and on, but we have ran out of time. But I think what the people have received and heard is going to change their lives today. So I am grateful and thankful for you both. May your marriage continue to grow and only blossom for the next 30, 40, 50 years.
To receive that.
As you grow together.
Yes.
Amen.
And we wish you the very same with your marriage. We love Destry. Destry, big up yourself. We miss you, but you know.
If you are anything like me right now, you're probably sitting saying, man, how do I get there? How do I become this great leader that Charisa and Colin and all of the guests on this show is talking about? And all we've been doing is talking to you about our life experiences. We've been talking to you about the journey. We've been talking to you about the growth that we've been going through. And we've been just giving you a spoonful of how you can change your life from just being a good leader to being an extraordinary leader. If you are ready to be fed with a bigger spoon, if you're ready to go deeper and dive deeper into how can I be an extraordinary leader, and I want to take that journey with you, and I would love for you to take that journey with me. And I am developing a program just for you starting October so that you can actually dive deeper, so that you can get the how-tos, the action steps on how can I be an extraordinary leader while being an imperfect individual. And the name of the program is The Total Imperfect Leader, created just for you. Just a few years ago, I was tired of feeling burnt out. I was tired of not having anyone or being afraid to ask for help. I was so stressed out from poor leadership ruining my life until I realized I was one decision away from just being a regular good leader to being an extraordinary leader. And I started that journey a few years ago, and now I'm standing here with you, becoming and still operating as an extraordinary leader. And I want you to be an extraordinary leader just like me. I'm going to take you on a short but powerful journey for 7 weeks, 7 modules, just for $177 for a value that's over $2,000. This perfect investment is just for you because I tried to figure out how can I make it so available and accessible to people to say, yes, I would like to be an extraordinary leader and not just settle for a regular good leader. We have so many good leaders around, but the world needs extraordinary leaders who are ready to develop themselves, who are ready to impact, who are ready to influence and have a blast while doing it. I don't want you to just be working. I don't want you to just be putting in the hours and toiling and actually tired at the end of the day that you can't enjoy your life. Because guess what? Your girl, she's enjoying her life. And I want to show you how you get to find the perfect pace to make a change, to be influential and impactful and still enjoy your life. Visit the website at charisamonroe.com/leader.
That's www.charisamonroe.com/leader for more information and to sign up before registration closes. Join this journey with me and let's walk down that road of becoming who? Extraordinary leaders.
You have just watched another great, powerful, life-changing episode of Candid Conversations with Charisa. And I hope that you are ready to take the necessary actions to make your life so much better and so much different starting today. Don't wait to take the action that's needed to make yourself a much greater leader than you are right now. For those that are following you, for those that you are leading, they are so waiting for you to be an extraordinary individual. Stay tuned and come back next week for another great and powerful episode with your host, Charisa Monroe-Wilborn. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, and don't forget to comment. I love reading your comments. I love hearing from you. I love when you join the conversation. See you soon.